you know what this is?
A moose.
It's a moose. It's not a real moose, of course.
It's a white moose.
It's a sort of a light,
White moose.
sort of a off-white or brownish, light brownish moose. Yeah. And you like it? So I'll give it to you in a minute. You can have a minute. But I want to tell you, Maurice and I went to Maine, and we went to this really, really cold and damp area called Moose Lake, and we wanted to go look for some moose. And so for days, how many days, honey? 2? It felt like weeks. For days, we looked for moose. And we drove, you know, you go on a paved road up there, and then all of a sudden you're on a gravel road. The paved road is gone, and you can get on these gravel roads and drive for miles and miles and miles and never see anybody, never see anything except maybe some birds and trees and rocks. That's pretty much all we saw. Well, one day, when we were driving all of those miles, we saw through the woods off the side of the road, we saw a bog. Does anybody know what a bog is? A bog is like a low-lying area, you know what marsh is, where there's some water gathered and some dead trees falling over and grass is growing, and sometimes there's like a little pond in the middle. You know who likes to go around bogs up in Maine? Moose. Moose like to go around bogs. And so I said, Maurice, let's hike through those woods and go over and see if there's a moose. That looks like a perfect place for a moose. Some people could, but we just want to take pictures and see them. So we got out of the truck and we crept through the woods as quietly as we could, because moose have a very, very sharp sense of hearing, and they scare off easily. And we got there as quietly as we could, and we got to the edge of the bog, and it was really mushy. Thank goodness I had my waterproof shoes on, because I could feel the water coming over my toes a little bit. And guess what we saw?
A moose.
No. Moose poop. That was so exciting. Because we knew that some moose must have hung out around there. Guess what else we saw? Moose footprints. We can see where they have walked around there. So we waited.
Did you see any moose?
There's a moose is going to be in your front yard. Deer in your front yard. They're cousins of moose. Did you know that? They're moose cousins. Cool. So anyway, we looked around and we never saw a moose there. But guess what? We got back in the car and we drove to another place. Right along the side of the road, there was a little bog right in front of the Department of Transportation, right up the side of the road. Guess what we saw? Nope, it wasn't poop that time. It was a real moose. It was a real moose, and we were so excited because it wasn't just... No! It might tackle me. And we were so excited because guess what? There wasn't just one moose.
There was 5.
There were 2 moose. Or if you ask Maurice, he calls them mooses. But we've looked it up. It's not meese. It's not mooses. It's not... anyway, it's moose. 1 moose, 2 moose, 3 moose, a dozen moose. Anyway, we saw, and it was a mama and a baby moose. And it was so cool. We were so excited. And, you know, I was thinking about that moose poop, and I was thinking about that moose tracks, moose footprints in the bog, and I was thinking about seeing those moose, and I thought, you know, sometimes, even though we don't actually see God, we see where God has been, don't we? We see that God has been all around in our life, and we know that He's there, just like we knew that those moose had been there. Yeah, you can have it. It's okay. So, you know what? I like to bring something back from my vacations. And Maurice said, let's buy a moose for everybody. So, that's yours. Casey and Keely are now going, I wish I was old enough to go to children's So Maurice went and bought a moose for everybody, not all of y'all. Sorry, not everybody. One for everybody. Here you go. Here, you want to take one to Allie? Take one to Allie and say, teaser first. tease her with just yours and go, Allie, look what Michelle brought you. She would have been in church. And then go, oh, look, she sent you one. Cool. Tell her we missed her. Okay. No flying moose in church. Okay. All right, let's say our prayers. You help me. Dear God, we love you. Thank you for always being there. Even though we don't see you, we see where you've been. And we know that you are here. Thank you, God.